Point Park cross-country team set PRs in their second meet. An instant classic. Check out these highlights from our high school football game of the week. And is Ben just too old? Our team will debate if the Steelers should bench Ben Roethlisberger. It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Sideline. I'm Natalia Hillen. Point Park women's soccer team had 2 games last week and remain undefeated in the RSC play. Here's EJ Dwyer with everything you need to know. EJ?
Thanks, Natalia. Last Wednesday, the girls took on the Washington Adventist. Washington took a 1-0 lead early in the first half with a Point Park own goal. But not even 10 minutes later, Chanel Britton found Nola McGuire to tie up the match. The Pioneers held their own up until the 86th minute when Tamaya Wilford scored the game-winning goal. The team's hero Wednesday also shined in their Sunday game against Carlo. Wolford scored in the 74th minute, and the girls kept the 1-0 lead for the rest of the game and only allowing Carlo to one shot in the last 16 minutes. The team is now 4-5 and 3-0 in the RSC play. Congratulations to Tamaya Wilford for being named the RSC's Offensive Player of the Week. The freshman scored her first 2 goals in fashion and hopes to continue with a hot streak. The girls go on to face Ohio Valley in the conference play this coming Thursday. Good luck to them, and back to you, Natalie, at the desk.
Thank you, EJ. Point Park's cross-country team had their second meet this past Saturday at Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. The men and women's teams both had a major improvement with their times. Starting with the men's team, for the 8,000-meter race, junior Trevin Carter got a PR of 27 minutes and 14 seconds. Leading the way after him was John Ziegler with a time of 27 minutes and 31 seconds. This was Ziegler's best time in his entire career running for Point Park. On Saturday, the women's team ran a 6,000-meter race, and this was their second 6,000-meter of the season. Out of 22 teams and 249 runners, senior Alyssa Campbell got 12th place overall. 2 other Point Park women's runners ran their first ever 6K in college. Sophomore Allie Placio got a time of 24 minutes and 14 seconds. And freshman Sophia Lee Hauser got a time of 25:41. Overall, the men and women's cross-country teams had a successful race. The team's next meet is on October 9th, 2021 at the Carnegie Mellon Invitational, hosted right in Pittsburgh, PA, at Shenley Park. Good luck to the men and women's cross-country teams as they practice over these next few weeks. Come back, find out how Point Park Golf did at their RSC Fall Preview. And then we have highlights of our high school game of the week. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. The River States Conference Men's Golf Fall Preview began Monday at Belterra Golf Club in Florence, Indiana, featuring 18 holes. 3 Point Park University students were competing in the event, which serves as a warm-up for the RSC Championship, which will be held on the same course in the spring. 2 sophomores and a freshman were competing for the Pioneers. In the opening round on Monday, sophomore Anthony Santilli and freshman Brenton Bringhurst both scored 7 over 78. Out of a total of 62 players, this puts them at a tie at 15th place. The 12 RSC teams participated in the competition had a total of 22 players in the 70s. Tyler Hillard, a sophomore, tied for 34th place for the Pioneers after shooting 83. In the first round, Bringhurst led the Pioneers with 3 birdies. Through 5 holes, he had an even par, then shot a 40 on his opening 9, which was the back 9 before finishing in 38. Santilli got 13 pars in his round and shot 39 on both sides. Hilliard's 9th birdie of the day came on hole number 18, highlighting a scorecard that read a 41-42 for his front and back 9. Now we hand things over to Ben Tenuta with highlights of our high school football game of the week.
Thanks, Nat. We went south this week to the Gold Turf for a 4A undefeated conference battle between the Bell Vernon Leopards and the Thomas Jefferson Jaguars.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord.
Out, bro. We here all night. Let's get it.
You know I'ma get them sold.
In the end, Bell Vernon won 28-21, courtesy to some last-second heroics from standout senior quarterback Devin Whitlock. After being held in check for the first 3 quarters by Thomas Jefferson's tough defense, Whitlock grabbed control in the last 5 minutes with a pair of explosive touchdown runs. Whitlock tied the game at 21 with a 39-yard rush with only 4:07 left in the game, and then put the game away with a go-ahead 40-yard touchdown run on a 4th and 13 with only 4.5 seconds left. This week we stay in Bell Vernon as they will be hosting their conference rival in undefeated Laurel Highlands. Now back to you, Natalie.
Thanks, Ben. Coming up next, we have the NHL season preview and find out how the Pirates did in their 4-game series against the Phillies. All that and more next.
Forty 40% of food in the United States is never eaten. At the same time, 1 in 8 Americans is struggling to put enough food on the table. Before you let your food go bad or throw your leftovers in the garbage, think about your options. To learn more about food waste and how you can reduce food waste at home, visit www.nrdc.org/issues/food waste.
Welcome back. the Pittsburgh Pirates wrapped up their series with the Phillies. The Pitt Panthers took on New Hampshire at Heinz Field, and the Steelers hosted the Bengals in their first AFC North Division game. To discuss what's going on regionally in sports, let's send things over to John Mayer. John?
Thanks, Nat. The Pirates battled their in-state rival, the Philadelphia Phillies, in a 4-game set in Philadelphia starting last Thursday. The Pirates gave up a 6-0 lead to lose 12-6 on Thursday, 8-6 on Friday, 3-0 on Saturday, and finally pulling a win out of the hat 6-0 on Sunday. The Pitt Panthers battled the University of New Hampshire at Heinz Field. Kenny Pickett went 24 of 28 with 403 yards passing and 5 touchdowns in Pitt's 77-7 monster win. Rough. That is one way to describe the Steelers' performance against the rival Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday, as they fell to their AFC North nemesis by a score of 24-10 and plummeted to 1-2 on the year. Ben Roethlisberger had a rough day against Cincinnati's improved defense, throwing 2 picks while constantly being pressured by the Bengals' pass rush. That Bengals front dominated the trenches against a Steelers offensive line that has looked straight up bad through 3 weeks of play. Najee Harris was the best Steeler on the field Sunday, racking up 142 total yards. However, Joe Burrow took advantage of a Steelers defense that was once again shorthanded due to injuries to TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Burrow tossed 3 scores, 2 of them to former LSU teammate Jamar Chase, as the Bengals marched into Pittsburgh with their first win in the Steel City since 2015. Next up, the Steelers hit the road to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at Lambeau Field. The 1-2 Steelers currently are last in the AFC North, behind Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Baltimore, all who have a record of 2-1.
Thanks, John. Now let's go to the ice and hand things over to Ray Hazenstab with an NHL season preview.
Thanks, Natalia. The NHL season is right around the corner, as the preseason gets underway, here are a few things to get you all caught up. The Pittsburgh Penguins will be starting their season off without 2 of their biggest stars. Evgeny Malkin is recovering from off-season knee surgery and is expected to be out for the next 2 months. Meanwhile, Sidney Crosby is recovering from wrist surgery taken on September 8th and is expected to return around October 20th. This means the Penguins' depth is going to be tested early, especially when they open the season against the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning on October 12th. In other news, the Buffalo Sabres continue to undergo turmoil. The team is still at odds with star Jack Eichel, who openly voiced his displeasure with the team at the end of last season. The two sides have been battling out over how to handle a neck injury Eichel sustained last season. Eichel is on IR as he waits for clearance. However, Eichel has not only been stripped of his captaincy, but it is widely reported that Jack Eichel wants out. We will have to see how this one plays out. And for those of you looking to get on predictions, as we've done for a while, keep an eye out for the Detroit Red Wings. Yes, the Red Wings, who have quietly had themselves an interesting offseason. After picking up talented goal scorer Jakub Vrana at the trade deadline last year, the Red Wings added to that by adding budding forward Pius Suter from Chicago, veteran defenseman, and another talented goal scorer Nick Leddy from the New York Islanders, and Alex Nedeljkovic, who was a Calder finalist last season as he led the Carolina Hurricanes in net. That's it for me. Let's send it back to Natalia.
Well, thanks, Ray. To recap what's going on nationally in sports, let's toss things over to Samuel Parator. Sam?
Well, week 3 is complete, so that means it's time for your rapid recap of the biggest and most shocking moments from the games. Let's start with Kansas City, who does not look like the Kansas City of old, as they fell to the Los Angeles Chargers 30-24 after a rare late interception by Patrick Mahomes that led to the winning LA touchdown in the final minute. This drops Kansas City to 1-2 and last place in the AFC West, which is unfamiliar territory for them. Next, we move to Detroit, where history was made. Baltimore picked up a 19-17 victory after Justin Tucker drilled an NFL record 66-yard field goal off the crossbar and in to give Baltimore the win. The win will unfortunately be shrouded in controversy, however, as the Ravens seemingly got away with a delay of game penalty, the play before that set it up. Going back to the topic of history, this brings us to Jacksonville. The Cardinals came out with a 31-19 victory, but it's Jacksonville that we'll be talking about. Jacksonville's Jamar Agnew ended the first half with a record-tying 109-yard kick 6 as he ran a missed field goal back all the way to the house for a touchdown. And the last game to recap is the Sunday night football game, and what a game it was. Green Bay picked up a narrow victory 30-28 off the leg of kicker Mason Crosby, who nailed a walk-off 51-yard field goal. However, what was even more impressive was what led to it. The 49ers had scored the go-ahead touchdown the drive prior, but left 30 seconds on the clock for Aaron Rodgers with no timeouts. Tough situation, right? Well, not for A-Rod, as he marched down the field in just a couple plays and made it look easy to get them in field goal range to win it. Well, that's all for football. Let's move to the baseball diamond. October is near, and for baseball fans, that means it's the postseason push, which can be a pretty exciting time. So let's take a look at who's in and who's close. Let's start with the AL East. The Tampa Bay Rays have clinched the division already, but the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, and Toronto Blue Jays are the front runners fighting for the 2 available wild card spots, all within a game of each other and with some key matchups yet to play. In the AL Central, the Chicago White Sox have run away, clinching the division, and all 4 other teams in that division being eliminated from contention. Lastly, the AL West has yet to be decided, but it is looking like the Houston Astros will take the division, with the Seattle Mariners and Oakland Athletics still in contention, but a pretty low chance. Switching down to the National League, now the East is up for grabs, as the Philadelphia Phillies are only 2.5 games back of the division-leading Atlanta Braves. In the Central, the Milwaukee Brewers have clinched the division, with the St. Louis Cardinals holding the second wildcard spot and the Reds still having a very low but existing chance at taking that spot, as they are 5.5 games back. Lastly, but certainly not least, the NL West, which has had its share of its surprises. Much to the surprise of many, the San Diego Padres have been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention after looking like a super team of sorts going into the season. This also has an exciting race at the top, as the San Francisco Giants and Los Angeles Dodgers are vying for the division title, with the Dodgers only 2 games back from the Giants. Whoever ends up in second in the division will hold the first wild card spot, since both teams have clinched a playoff spot already. Needless to say, with a little under a week left in the regular season, this is shaping up to be a pretty exciting playoff push.
Thanks, Sam. Coming up next, is it time to bench Big Ben? Stay tuned for the Case of the Week next. Welcome back. Ben Roethlisberger has been the Steelers' official starting quarterback after Tommy Maddox went down with an injury in Week 1 in the 2004 season. A young Big Ben led the Steelers to a 14-1 record, but fell short in the playoffs, losing to Tom Brady and the Patriots. He led the Steelers to 3 Super Bowls and winning one in 2005 in his second season in the NFL, and one in 2008 with a late-game winning drive and touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes in the back in the end zone. After a 17-season career and Steelers' sloppy performance last Sunday, is it time to move on, is the real question. So I'm going to start out with Sam. Is it time for Ben to move on?
I don't think it is. You still look at what he can do when he's given the time behind a decent offensive line. he can still throw it. A lot of the things that we say in terms of he keeps throwing short, he can't get the job done, it's because the offensive line has given him not enough time to throw and not enough time for plays to develop.
So you're saying it's basically a whole team effort, not just Big Ben's
Agreed.
job.
Yeah, the arm is not supposed to throw 50 times a game, and that's what he's been forced to do with no running game, with less than 2 seconds to throw the ball. That's just how my opinion is.
Nice. We're going to hop over to John. What are you thinking, John?
I agree. I personally think it's disrespectful for someone who's done as much as this franchise for fans to be coming after Big Ben the way they are. Ben Roethlisberger has won this franchise 2 Super Bowls. He's been to 3. And listen, it's not looking great right now. Last Sunday was really rough. We saw some plays from Big Ben that were not great. And Ben needs to up his play. There's no doubt. There's no excuse about that. But this offensive line is just abysmal. We know Ben could be a good quarterback in the NFL with a decent offensive line. But this offensive line, Ben's just being pressured. Basically, he's being pressured 10 times basically every game. Last week against the Raiders, he was pressured 10 times. This week he was sacked 4 times and hit 7, I believe. So this offensive line is just not giving him enough time. The Steelers are running basically a lot of one-read offense. So Ben, it's just disrespectful. And what are the guys behind him going to do? Mason Rudolph, we've seen him play. He's not good. Same thing with Haskins. So I say keep Big Ben. What do you say, Ben?
I agree with both Ians. I think it's Big Ben. It's been Big Ben since we were kids, and, he led us to 3 Super Bowls, and we haven't had a franchise quarterback before that for years. And, we saw what life was without Ben, and we saw the Mason Rudolph. We saw Duck. We see Haskins now. They're young, but they're not Ben Roethlisberger. And Ben Roethlisberger, we saw it last season. He put us in almost every game. And the Indianapolis Colts game is just an example of how he can still throw the football. Like you mentioned, he just needs time. And there's no run game. So, he's going to pass 50 times. He's going to pass every play. So, yeah, it's not time to move on.
I totally agree with you guys. I feel like it's definitely not time to just dump Big Ben off in the nowhere. Like, he still has a chance to really pick it up and show us what he truly is made of, especially with that offensive line, like, coming in and helping out too. So I don't think it's ready yet for him to go out, but he does need to shape it up or ship out. Anything else, guys?
They really got to improve over these next couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
they
That
need to
Bengals
show
game
us
was
something.
rough. That offensive line has got to step
It was
up.
bad.
Yeah.
So
That's
it
one
was
of the
not good.
That's one of the worst Steeler games I think I've watched in a long time.
Well, guys, that's all we have time for this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.